Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 4th, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I live by are the precise philosophies that I literally guide virtually every moment of my day with. I should have said the philosophies of life I talk about are the ones I personally guide my everyday actions with. Now, with that in mind, okay, I know these tools will work for you because, well, frankly, they work for me. And they have worked for literally thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, today is open topic. So, as I've said, bring your questions. Doesn't matter what the topic, we will do our best to deal with them. Before we get into it, however, we have Steve Knox in the room with the gold. Steve, how you doing? Glad you could make it. And Storm and Shadow, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. You are in with silver. LA Moon, you have the bronze, and a whole lot of work on your plate, knowing you. And we scroll down and we have Shadow and Sun. Shadow, how you doing? I'm very pleased to see you drop by to share a little of your time with us. I know you've got a busy schedule ahead of you. And we scroll down and we have, see, that was Steve with the gold, Storm with the silver, LA with the bronze, and Shadow, you have the honorable mention. Going down a little further, we have Terry Folker is in the house. And now, let us take a look. We go onto this funny little screen here. And we go look for the links. We have Storm and Shadow. And this is Storm and Shadow's link to his live feed. So drop in, give him a listen. You know, if you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up and then subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Then we have Shadow and Sun. And where is Shadow and Sun? Move that over there. And this is Shadow and Sun. And I will tell you, these guys have some really neat ideas where it comes to the figurines, where it comes to painting. You know, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay, it is literally by sharing these links that we can draw this community even closer together. Now, there we go. Now, I do sort of owe an apology to Nathan and the people that were on the panel last night. On my computer, heart-wise, I was fine. On my computer, my panel seemed to have frozen on the live stream and stayed that way for a good half hour. Now, with that in mind, and the fact that when we're dealing with reports, there is no way I can corroborate them, nor can I refute them. Okay, so because the computer was having trouble, and frankly, it didn't seem to be working all that well on the other side of it, this is what ended up bringing it to a close. Okay, now, oh, there we go. Now, with this in mind, okay, I've been looking at things and striving to get everything organized. The big thing on my plate right now is, like many of you, the trip down to Reno. But in my case, it's going to be a lot longer than normal. The Reno trip the Reno trip and the Reno party is on May 10th, 11th, and 12th. I will certainly be there. It's already set in motion. Waiting to hear back about a potential ride from the airport to the resort. But worst case scenario, we'll get to the airport and grab, worst case we grab a cab, but I believe the casino has a shuttle anyway. So we will see how that works. Don't know exactly. In all fairness, I'm going to be there early. And I'm going to be there a couple of days after the event. I figure I haven't been I've barely been out of my house. But if I'm going to make the effort to go on a long trip with stress and with nerve levels the way they go for me, I'm looking at it going, I may just as well be there. I may just as well be there for a while. Now how much I'll leave the hotel, I have no idea. But am I going to see what's there? Yeah, pretty much. Now, the neat part for me is we're going to be in a casino. I have only gone into a casino 9 times in my life. 8 of them, I walked out with more money than I went in with. So the odds are pretty good if I go in there, I come out with a little more money than I started with. But there's a very simple way of doing that. Okay, and yes, while I'm there, if you have me down at the event, and just ask me, well, never mind, I'll give you the answer right now. It's a real simple method. When you go into the casino, and in all fairness, if you've got lots of money to throw away, great. Okay, even if you are only spending a little though, and I'm going to work with $20. Okay, and bear in mind, this same amount applies to literally any amount you go in with. Now, it does take self-control. Let's say you're going in with $20. Now, you can do it in one or two. There's a couple of control methods you can use. This works like an absolute charm. Okay? Doesn't matter what games you play. This method I'm about to show you works like a charm. And no, it is not counting cards or counting numbers. Oh. Thank you very much, Ellie. Ellie's just saying there is a shuttle for the Silver Legacy. Philip, welcome aboard. I personally have no idea. And no, I'm not about to wear a funny hat. I don't actually own one. Okay, closest thing to a funny hat I happen to have is a 4X cowboy hat. I can't put a 2X on. And needless to say, a 1X, a large just won't fit. But where it comes to the casino, since many of you may be there, and if you're not, this applies to any casino in the world. Okay, now let's just work with $20. And if you don't have one already, grab a sheet of paper and take some notes, because this could save you a small fortune. But it requires you follow the path. If you discard the path, it's a good bet you're going to lose money. But the reason for that is because of the ratios that are set up. Okay, so first and foremost, we're just going to start with $20. Okay, go in with $20. And that's all you're starting with. Now, when you win, and this is why I say take a paper. You used to do it by coin. Now they do it by chit and what have you, which to me is more complicated. If you can get into a casino that still uses coins, it's easy. But you go in, and let's just say I'm just going to run with $1 bet. It'll slot machine. The principle is the same. Okay, the principle is exactly the same. You put $1 in. So on your list, on this little clip that you're going to keep with you, hopefully, bear in mind, a clip can be used. You can have a notepad on your cell phone in today's world. This will slow the game down. Okay. Which means, by the way, you get to spend longer on your money or with your money. Every time you hit spin, mark off a check. I was working with $1 with a $1 coin because it's easy. Okay. You put the dollar in, you check it off, and you've used $1. Now, if you win, this is great. If you don't, so be it. You carry on every time you hit the spin button. Okay, you check off another coin. So you've got literally 20 coins. Okay, you've got 20 spins on $20 in a dollar machine. Okay, now, here's the first rule. You use your $20 up without winning, leave. Your maximum loss, therefore, is only $20. Now, you can burn that on dinner. Okay, this said, let's say you go down $5, 5 spins before you win. Very few people win on the first spin. So let's say you go through 5 and you win. So you're down 5. But on that win, you make $10. Okay, that $10 gets put aside in your take home. You're still counting down on the 20. Okay, so you've made 10, you've got 10 in your take home, but you're down $5 in the 20 you're working with. So you go down another, for simplicity, go down another 5 spins, and just for ease of calculation and consistency, you go down another 5 coins. Okay, so you've spun 10 out of your 20. And let's say you win another $10. Okay, so now you got $20 in your pocket, take home. Okay, you got the 20 you came in with to spin, to play with, you've already got in your pocket. Now, if the next 10 wins you win nothing, walk out. You've already broken even. Okay, hopefully you're with me this far. Now, let's say you go down another 5 and you go down another 5. So out of the original 20, you're down $15. But here's where it gets to be fun. Okay, now, let's say again you win the 10. So you've already broken even. Now you're over the breaking even. That $10, 5 of it goes into your take home. The other 5 you add back to your operating pot. So you follow the math on that. You've spun 15. You put 30 aside. But because you're keeping 5 of that last win, you're back up to having, like you were down to 5, you're now back up to having $10 to play with. Okay, so you can carry on playing a little longer. And from there on, every time you win, half of your winnings go into your take-home pocket. The other half go into your playing pocket. This guarantees the maximum you're ever going to lose, no matter what game you're playing. The maximum you will ever lose is the $20 you came in with. Okay, as for how much is the maximum you can win, I don't know. What's the jackpots go? Kate, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And as you saw, I got your email. Net result, the newsletter went out as soon as I got it. I'm now working on Marches. Okay, so if you follow the method I just talked about, it doesn't matter if you come to the casino in Reno, if you're going to Las Vegas, if you're going to Atlantic City, doesn't make a difference at all. Okay, then it doesn't matter what country you're in. Even if you're playing a friendly game at home, hopefully it's friendly. If you're betting, that is the way to make money and to actually prosper without counting cards, without tracking numbers, without checking on anybody else. You're simply looking at your own cash flow. Okay, now remember, karmic law is simple. Be true to yourself first. You follow this method, and I can virtually guarantee you'll walk out with a maximum loss of $20. That's your maximum loss. Okay. That's the reality behind it. Okay. With that in mind. Now, do I recommend gambling as a way of getting ahead in the world? Honestly, I don't recommend much. But if you're going to go to the casino, take that method with you. With that in mind, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to do my level best to actually, like, I'm probably going to go down into the casino at least once and put that to the mark, because my ratio right now is 8 out of 9 wins. The other one I went out with less money than I had. Okay, nice part about it is if you're playing. Now, here's the thing, and I'm not going to go into this here. Okay, I don't think anyway. Maybe. But if you're going in, you walk in with the intention of going, okay, I've got this amount of money I can burn. Like when I go out for dinner, I've got $20 that I can cook off on dinner. It's gone. You go into the casino going with the intention of it, with the understanding that that money is already gone. Okay, because if you go in there and you can't afford to lose money, don't go in. Now, I don't know about around the rest of the world. I know up here in BC, in British Columbia, Canada, they've got a neat little system for people that are gambling addicts. And that is, you can walk into any casino. Okay. When you walk into any casino in BC, Canada, you can go up to the cashier and go, look, I've got a gambling problem. Would you please make certain that I don't come in here? Okay. They will put you on a watch list. You walk into any casino in BC, and the security will catch you and go, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to come in. Now, here's the kicker. Okay, and this is a good thing in my eyes, especially for gambling addicts. You get your name on the list, it happens just like that. You desire to get off it. From what I gather, it's a 6-month process. Okay, and again, this is a way of protecting your own money if you happen to have a gambling problem. Okay, this is why I say, it will work. Okay, this is not the same method to protect yourself where it comes to many other addictions. However, you can use the same process. It's just something that dawned on me. I'm heading down to stay in a casino. Okay, and I will be down there for just shy of a week. Now, a lot of my time is already booked. Okay, obviously on the days of the event. Okay, on 10th, 11th, and 12th, I'm down there for the party, for the gathering. Okay, the other 4 days are really open for me. There for me to take a holiday, but I've got things booked that I intend to deal with. Okay, however, absolutely, if you desire to get together, let me know and we will see if we can work something out. I'm certainly going to be at the event for as long as I can be there. Okay, I'll tell you, if it weren't for a few people, okay, Frank and Storm and Shadow and LA, them amongst a couple of others, I wouldn't have been going. primarily because I'd have been dead. Okay. And I know that sounds kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I'm actually dead serious about it. But now that we've got that out of the way, it's already bought and paid for, so I don't even have to worry about it at this point. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And let us grab hold of this right away, shall we? Pull that over, and we grab the Quantum Show. This is the link to Nathan's live stream. Okay. And there we go. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. You know, one of the nice little parts about what I'm seeing here, my life has taken a massive change. Okay, a lot of things are going on, and therefore I'm doing what I can. One of the biggest challenges for me, the whole trip that I'm going down there for, you would not believe the level of stress I go through just trying to get it organized. Okay. However, I've got two boys here, both of whom said, I told my youngest, I said, I'm taking off for the week. And he goes, bye-bye. That was the end of that discussion. Bear in mind, one of my children is 26. The other one is 18. He'll be 19 by the time, he'll be 19 by the time I go. Yeah, we do appreciate you dropping in, Nathan. Hopefully work is going well for you. There's a lot that I'm going there for. One of the and this is kind of an odd question. Some of you in the chat room may know. Okay. And that one little question is quite seriously around the Silver Legacy. I'm going to be looking for a jeweler. Okay. I am going to look for a jeweler to see if I can find one. I don't want to travel very far from the hotel because, quite frankly, I get lost way, way, way too easy. But, and like I said, we're going to be at the Silver Legacy. But if anybody's got an idea of where or which jeweler in the area is a good one, I would love it if somebody would give me an idea. Okay. And it's just one of those things I'm going down there that I'm going to be intending on doing when I get down there. But it's kind of a mishmash. In the meanwhile, that is going on. Okay, now where did my list go? Perfect. Thank you so much, Storm. I do appreciate it. Storm, I am presuming you and Lynn are not going to be in Reno. But I do appreciate you poking around. I've got a number of things I'm aiming at doing, but one of the big ones is getting my world sorted around properly. Yeah, I somehow didn't think so. That's a shame, but I've already talked to my other half and told her I'm striving to figure out, I'm going to be making one trip south of the border this year, one more trip south of the border. And 1 week of that is going to be in Texas. The other week is possibly going to be spent seeing my other half again. Needless to say, the issue of the other half really boils down to this. The thing about seeing my other half is this trip down there, down to Reno. If it goes well, everything goes great. My life starts moving forward in a much faster pace. Okay. If it doesn't go well, another little problem. I probably would, LA, and I will talk to you about the wheres and whys after the show. There is a reason for my doing it that way. But I'm not going to exactly explain the entirety of it just yet. But I am, like I said, I am going to be down there later in the year. I just have to I've got to get through Reno first. It just kind of worked out, the timing and the shift in things really set the stage for what happened first. Now, I've already got, I got my finances, and I mentioned this yesterday. I got my finances balanced out. Okay. Where I figured out how close to the ground I came. Ignoring investment, I cannot get money out of for 8 years anyway. And the credit cards I got, and overdraft in actual available cash on January 3rd, I had $624.95 left to my name. Okay. Then on the 31st, things swung around, and I'm up over $3,000 again. From here on out, I follow the old axiom. An individual is not gauged by the height to which they climb, so much as by the depth from which they have climbed. Now, if you think about it, you picture it. I was flying along. If you look at bank accounts, call that a flight. Call that a flight path. I was flying around 100,000 feet in the air. Okay. Due to some stupid moves, some ill-placed generosity, potentially ill-placed, that remains to be seen. Okay. And some really dense maneuvering. I plummeted in less than a year. Matter of fact, I did in about 8 months. I plummeted from 100,000 feet in the air to 624 feet in the air. Now I've started to pull up. Okay, so it really boils down to a very nice little thing in my case. Now we get to watch how the plans I put in motion, I'm telling you, work. You're going to see firsthand, secondhand. Okay, I'm going to keep you posted and let you know where things are sitting month by month, so you can see what this path does. Okay, I'm not guaranteeing it'll work for you, because it boils down to your focus, your energy, and your efforts. Okay, but if you haven't given a shot, absolutely do so. I believe that was Johnny Cash. Yeah. I mean, you take a look at Johnny Cash. In my opinion, he was the first true rapper. Rapper being described as somebody who has music playing and talks through the song. Johnny used to do that all the time. And there's the final part to it there, Philip. Steve just let us know Folsom Prison Blues was the actual song. You picked a genre that I actually know a minimal amount, but it's so much better than trying to ask me about most of the heavy metal, the hard rock. I don't know. I don't know what they qualify it as, but I will tell you this, Philip. Rap to me is rap. I don't usually listen to rap. As a matter of fact, I don't usually listen to much but country. However, where it came to Johnny, he was about as as country as you could get. And his daughter, Roseanne, was another brilliant singer. She sang the Tennessee Blacktop Box. And again, fabulous song. Of course, we gotta realize, I'm happen to be country. Why doesn't that surprise me, Nathan? Nathan's just going, Johnny Cash is a hero here in Tennessee. I never did see any of the big art. Well, I shouldn't say any of them. I worked a roadie for April Wine when they were first starting out. Okay, now I'm dizzy. That's what's called a muscle spasm. Nothing wrong with the heart. That just is something that's been going on for decades. It just doesn't happen when I'm here. It doesn't happen very often. But my trip to Reno is going to be, to say the least, stressful. But everything seems to be falling into place at this point. And do I have anything listed here? Who's that? Okay. Nope, don't know where all that is, and that's okay. Just checking what's going on over on Facebook there for half a second. I take a look at some of these artists, and here's the thing. Some of you like to sing. I'm telling you, you're better off not hearing me sing, so we're just going to keep it that way. Okay, but let me ask you this. Any one of you that has a desire to become a recording artist, one question for you. What is the difference between you and any one of the major stars? Take your pick, male, female, don't care. What is the one difference between you and any one of the major stars? People tell us, you don't go into music because you can't make any money at it. I'm thinking Johnny did pretty well for himself. Olivia Newton-John, Gene Simmons from Kiss, the Beatles, they didn't make any money at all. Now, yes, these are Philip goes, a helper dog who doesn't get lost as easy might help. Probably would. But the reality is, first and foremost, where I live, first and foremost, not a real fun and not a real avid pet collector. Okay. Secondly, the apartment I live in, I'm not allowed to have pets. And for me, that's okay. I'm paying less than a third of the average cost right now where I live. So I'm not about to complain about it. Okay. But it's not a bad idea. And a lot of people have a lot of fun with helper dogs. Myself, the less I deal with things, the easier it is for me to stay organized, to stay, if you will, stress-free. And for me, I'm telling you, leaving my house to go to Reno, that in and of itself is a massive endeavor. Okay, there's no way I can put it into functional terms for you, but that's where it is. Did I freeze here? Nope. Bonus. Okay, now I won't be bringing my computer down, which also means that week I won't be live on air. Okay. And the simple reason for that is I'm not going down there to work for the most part. I will, however, be taking a lot of paper because there's a lot of writing that I do desire to get done. Oh, you misunderstand, Philip. If I really wanted to push it because of the fact that I am now working towards getting onto disability, I could get a seeing eye dog or a helper dog or whatever you want to call it. Seeing eye dog might be problematic. I can still see. But the reality of it is that for me, okay, I'm not interested in having a pet. And having a landlord that says, not necessarily. Oh, I realize that, LA. But you still have to keep the thing around. You still got to take care of it. And this is why I say my solution is a bit of a workaround. I don't leave the house. I can shop without leaving. I still get out of the house. Okay, I actually went down to the mall today because my youngest son, his computer collapsed, so we went out and bought him a new one. Well, I fronted him the money. He's going to be paying for the thing. But having a service animal, having somebody, and the way I figure it is this. Yeah, well, that was sort of my thought. And of course, the other little problem is here. Let's just assume for half a moment everything's going great. And my dog, my helper dog, for whatever reason, gets lost. Gets out of the apartment and runs away. Now what am I supposed to do with it? Because I will tell you, not a good use of money if you're not overly connected in the first place. Now I will tell you, here's a real neat kicker. I got to $624, right? Let me just see something here. Okay. I climbed. Now this would be absolutely phenomenal. I increased my bank account by 4.8 times. Okay, now if I do that again, that will put by the end. Now that was by the end of January. Now a real kicker would be if I end up with 14,500 in the bank by the end of this month. Now somehow I'm not holding a lot of weight. I'm putting a lot of weight on that. Skip to Malou, how you been doing? I know I haven't gotten back to you. The unfortunate part is I ended up throwing my back out last week. I was just completely immobile. So I've only just started getting mobile again. But I am doing my best to catch up to things. On the plus side, for some people, I'm not dead. This last screw up wasn't my heart. My back, my musculature, my stress level, off the flaming charts. But I am getting back on my feet. From here on out, I am simply looking at where my finances are and going, okay, I walk through this and we'll see where things go. It's going to take a little bit of a climb to get it straightened out. But I've got people working in good, solid places to help this happen. Okay, one of the biggest drives that I've got is going to be getting this stream moving properly. And I was quite happy. We were 593 yesterday. We're now up to 595. Okay, I am just wondering if we've got anything happening here. Just checking email to see if subscription levels have climbed. Oh, I get so many of these. They are absolutely useless to me. Where are they? Oh, by the way, what I'm referring to is these things that come in. Oh, if you give us money, we'll put your stream on the top of the charts. I don't know how you get across to people. I'm not going to be talking to these so-called professionals to make this happen. Oh, Skip, that is actually one of the reasons why I'm up and moving, is because I've literally been doing that. So one of my big, right now, I am watching the subscription stream, but do understand, I count, when I'm looking at subscription numbers, I look at this and go, okay, what are we getting to the active listing audience? And I figure, okay, and don't take offense to this, anybody. I take a look at the number of subscriptions we've got and compare that to the idea of, if you see a mouse in a building, the odds are you got 6 others that you haven't seen. So I'm looking at this going, okay, I've got 595 subscribers. We've got 14 in the building. 14 times 6, we're looking at 84 people listening. But if we look at that same 6 and we go 595 subscribers, where did I put it? Right there. We go 595 times 6. That means each episode following that 6 times ratio, okay, that means each stream that I put out gets a potential 3,570 listens. Okay, in this fashion, am I looking at building this? Yes. I am doing my level best to stay on top of things. But to be clear, okay, when people, and I get people doing this all the time, I'm looking at it going, they'll send me a video going, is this real? And I don't know how to get this across to people except very bluntly. You send me a video, I cannot tell you at all whether it is a real video. I am not a videographer. I am not a video analyst. So I can tell you if what I'm seeing represents what I'm aware of, certainly. But I cannot tell you about the veracity of a video. Much like when we start talking about reports that are going around, I have no way of, because I don't research, so I have no way of either corroborating or refuting the claims in any document. What I do have is a past record of going, this is what I'm seeing, everybody telling me I was wrong, and 20 to 30 years later, finding out I wasn't. Yes, I know that sounds egocentric. Okay, sounds egocentric, maybe egotistical, I don't know. Okay, you get to figure out what label you want to put on it. As I've told you, I've been called a lot of things over the years. Some of them are even repeatable in polite company. So at this point, I will turn around and make things happen. But here's the kicker. As I'm building the stream, as I'm building positive perceptions and positive perspectives, I am going to be taking 80% of my net profit and putting it back out to the community, to the purchasers, the clients, the customers, the contributors, the supporting people. Okay, all of these people, because it's not just me doing this. It's just me that sits down and goes, I'm talking. Absolutely. And Lord knows I'm absolutely stunned that people actually listen. But, that's me. Oh, there we go. Skip's going, if only we had a person who could sell cameras with night vision with discount to SOR and Keith. I would place one on top of my roof. I would, but you gotta remember one little detail. These guys, the off-worlders that are doing the abductions, first and foremost, they don't always come down into sight. They can use a transmographer, what you would call a teleporter, to yank people off the planet without even breaking orbit. Now, that may sound far-fetched, but you got to remember, even mankind, even humans, have technology where from orbit, they can actually spot individuals on a beach. Okay, now it is a hopeful thought that they're not doing stupid things, but you can bet your bottom dollar some of them aren't as above board as other people. It was funny. When I was a kid, I made the comment, I want off this planet. Well, sure as shooting, they came and got me. I should have told them not to bring me back. Of course, in all fairness, if they hadn't brought me back, a lot of the people that I've run into, I didn't ever met. So now it's a question of going, okay, I know what I'm running into. But if I go back, if I go back to, well, there's a couple of times in ancient Rome, and this is why I get a little agitated with many people going, this is the way it's been, and it's always going to stay that way. It won't always, but way back in Rome, and I don't know the exact year. Okay, I don't know the exact year, but I was a senator. I was a young senator in Rome, and I kept telling the head senators and the real seniors, I kept telling them, look, you guys are right now treating the peasants, treating the serfs as garbage. You're taxing the sheep out of them, and you keep on pushing and pushing. Sound familiar when you look at today's world? I said, senators, with all due respect, you're treating your own friends. Okay, you're treating your own pocketbook and the pocketbooks of your friends. People tied into the military, people tied into other political venues. You're treating them like gold. This is going to backfire. For 60 years, I fought with these guys and said, look, you keep doing this, you're going to have a problem. I warned them crime would climb. Well, they carried on their path. And sure enough, crime kept climbing up. Now, of course, you got to remember, these guys are sitting on their tail feathers gathering money. They weren't doing a lot. So they got bored. Hence, they developed, to start with, it seems to have been, and I wasn't there when the gladiatorial arenas were first instituted. But it seemed to me that, like today's sports, the senators set things up so they could sit and watch people fight with each other and bet on the winner. Well, time went on, and I'm telling them, guys, this is going to backfire. This is going to dissolve. Oh, no, we're in control. We know what we're doing. I'm looking at them going, clearly not. You follow the path you're on, you've got a disaster on your hands. Well, they changed it up a little. They didn't want to watch man fight man anymore, man fight woman, or whatever. And they started bringing in wild animals. And they sat and watched wild animals kill each other. And not kill each other, kill people. Okay. So there was all the cheering, and people were changing, and money was changing hands. These guys were getting excited. Now, I'm still a young senator. I'm still arguing the point. I went to the games once to see what they were doing. Okay. So I knew I could say, I know what's going on there. And after that, it's like, I don't need to see this. I didn't become a senator to start killing people. I became a senator to help set things in motion to make the country a better place. So they kept pushing, and then they got a little bored again, I'm guessing. But crime kept rising. And now they started finding out that they were arresting people in the military. And then because that worked out well, all of a sudden they've got military people. These people already know how to fight. Oh, well, here's a brilliant idea. Let's fabricate charges and pull some of the generals and some of the lieutenants off the field. And we will charge them with whatever we decide to fabricate. And we'll put them in jail. Okay. And then we'll move them over to the gladiatorial pits. And we'll promise them, if they win X number of times, if they survive X number of times, we will let them go. Well, here's the kicker. Okay. Now, does anybody recognize this concept of people that are in proper positions being railroaded by whatever means? Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I hope your day has been going well. Now, here's the kicker. Okay, they start. Does anybody recognize the idea of people that are in position, like in the military? And I've got a lot of respect for the people in the military. I really do. But have you ever heard about somebody? Yeah, it really does. And like goes, sounds like our politics now. It really does. So they frame well-seasoned veterans and throw them into the gladiatorial pits. Now you got to remember, they are still treating the peasants and the serfs like garbage, like chattel. They are still treating them, the wealthy and the other political people, like absolute gold. They're still taxing the daylights out of the peasants and the serfs because they can no longer support themselves. Crime rises, more people into the gladiator pits. Well, stupid thing happened, kind of foreseeable, at least it was to me, and I warned them, and I spent, like I said, I spent about 40 years in the Senate going, guys, you can't do this. You cannot continue doing this. There's going to be a problem. You're going to cause revolt. Oh no, we're in dominant control. We've got all these people locked up. The people that are causing the problem, they're in jail. They're in the pits. They're contained. And then these absolute geniuses decided to start paying, oddly enough, paying with privileges, the military people they put in there to train the gladiators. Now, some of the people in the military trained the gladiators anyway in a bid to survive. Okay, so we turn around, and they're now not only treating the peasants and the serfs like garbage, and treating their own friends and the people with money like gold. Does this sound familiar in today's world? I'm just curious, or maybe I'm overlooking something. Okay, but they turned around, and there were, happening. I kept warning them. Well, I got to be around about 60 years old and finally died of old age. Okay, but the following lifetime, okay, and for me, turnaround can sometimes be real quick. I don't know the exact turnaround on this case, but when I came back the next lifetime, I came back abnormal. I came back in Rome, and I came back on a path to get into the gladiatorial pits. So, yeah, I started off literally breaking the law from the get-go. Okay, and I got in there, got into the arena. I ended up being put into the arena, into the gladiatorial pits. Okay, and when that happened, I told the guys in the gladiator pits. I said, okay, guys, I know you're talking about. I know that you're. Let's try English here. I told them, I know you're going to break out. There's going to be a revolt. So if there is a revolt, all I'm asking, I know innocent people are going to die, but do yourself a favor. Okay, do everybody a favor. With the innocents, do your best to leave them out of it. If you've got a military person, even a defendant, okay, even a defendant, like one of the guards, if the guard drops their weapon, run, let them run away. Okay, if they put their weapon down, they're no longer part of the issue. Let them go. Okay, now what I didn't know, because this all went down, I only just found out the other day that gladiatorial revolt was the one that, according to history, was led by Spartacus. Now, I've always held I didn't start the revolt. Okay, I didn't realize that the revolt itself was the one that Spartacus started. Okay, but this is the path that the world is going down right now. And we can either focus on all the negatives or we can focus on the other side of it. Now, right now, in this world, we can point to the clergy, we can point to the so-called elites, point to anybody you choose. Okay, but if you're taking a look at, let's take a look at a business. Okay, and we'll just pare it down to a smaller business. Okay, take a business with 100 people. You got one guy at the top. Now that guy does make the rules, but you still, as an individual, control your own world. You just have to follow the laws that are laid out. Now, the question you've got to look at is, are you going to keep doing what you've been doing and have your world go down a really backwards method? You know, are you going to go down that road? Okay. Or are you going to start altering the way your life is going? For me, I've been hiding from the world for 55 years. Okay. And I've been doing a pretty good job of it. But the reason I'm going to be in Reno is because, number one, I've got to get into the public a little more. This much is blatantly obvious. So, much as it was extremely stressful setting it up, okay, I turned around and got it set up with a whole pile of help, so I will be there. Even my oldest son turned around and goes, because I told him I was going to continue with the stream, and he goes, "Good." I looked at him, I said, "You want me to continue with the stream?" He says, "Dad, he said, I know you're feeling about the way the world is, but you've got to stay connected somehow, and this way works." You know, now what do we got here? Yeah. Yes, sadly, Skip, you're going, springtime is incoming, which it really is. But we had snow today. Now, I know I'm up in Canada. I mean, I figured that one out all on my own. Doesn't mean I like having snow here. Oh, there we go. Kate's going, I struggle. I'm lucky I have a patient hubby. It gets really, really difficult. Like I left my house today because I had to go over to the X's. But and I went down to the mall, which was a shock in itself. So I am doing my best. Okay. But am I comfortable leaving the house anymore? Frankly, not in the slightest. Okay. I still get out, but what the heck? Now I will tell you this. When I go down to Reno this year, I will be taking some of the smaller books with me, right? For people that are interested in them. And I'll certainly, no, maybe not. I was going to say I'll have copies of the newsletter, but that depends on if I can get it printed anywhere. I know how to do that. Oh, where we go. Phelps goes, I missed out on a friend who invited me to stay with him in Germany, where he was living for his job. Yeah, all I had to pay was flying there and back. Yeah, and unfortunately, I do feel for you, Philip. Okay, this particular trip has cost me a small fortune to me, but the value of it is way higher than what the cost was. Okay. And again, for the last 2 years, the people on Spaced Out Radio have been asking me to attend. This year, it's already bought and paid for. The only hiccup there is if, well, one of two hiccups. One, I die. Not coming if I'm dead, or more to the point, not bringing my body. Two, nope. It is the Silver Legacy, Skip. Does this mean you're gonna make a hop over here and come and join us? That'll be a wild. I did when I went to the Experience or Speak program years ago. You know, I went to the Experience to Speak to the Experience to Speak conference in Portland, Maine. Okay, and that particular trip was a riot. You know, stressful as all get out for me. But while I was there, we had a friend there was a chap that came out of England over. So it'll be really neat to see if you do make it. That's May 10th, 11th, and 12th. Okay. I know I'll be there for the whole thing. I'll be there for days on either side of it. But that's my own doing, so that I'm actually out of the house for longer. So I'm out. So I actually am taking. This will be the first holiday I've had since 2018, I think, something like that. But I am going down. The only camera I'll have is this thing, but I'm going down with, like I said, I'm not bringing my computer, so I won't be on air here. Okay, but I'm coming down with paper because I got a lot of writing I desire to do. I mean, let's face it. And by the way, another little progress report here. I'm currently co-authoring a book with a friend of mine. Okay, now we're co-authoring because he's coming up with the ideas, the hiccups, the plans, the whole 9 yards. I'm simply writing it down. Okay. I'm simply doing the wording for it, but he's the one of the brains behind it. Oh, Philip goes, I'm overly introverted, and and this friend is overly introvert, and this friend is overly extroverted. He's in international sales. Found a way to make a living from being so extroverted. Nice. I am not in international sales, but what I have figured out is this. I figured out a very important little aspect, and that is I figured out how to track word of mouth advertising, meaning I have set up a scale for people that actually do end up either, and I don't mean go out and necessarily go, hey, would you like to buy this book? But any of the 8 books right now that I've got in my possession that I've already written, if one of you guys sell one, and that just boils down to saying, hey, look at this book. If the person says, okay, I heard from Joe, this was a good book, so I want to order it. So when that happens, I keep track of that. And I do pay a percentage, not a huge percentage, but that depends on how many books are being sold. It literally is a sliding scale that I've developed for everyone, myself included, by the way, where people that are actually referring people to me for books, for consultation, whether it's personal or business, doesn't matter. Everything I do is in the same form. Yeah. Philip, there are a couple of things that work really well if you're introverted. Okay, because in today's world, one of the best ones, if you work in hospitality, now hospitality does not inherently pay well. There is a way to make it pay well, but that's beside the point. Any job, one of the best things for an extreme introvert would be going to work in a simple job like a manufacturing plant where you're working on an assembly line. Okay, if you're introverted, you get onto it, you do your job, you get paid. It's that simple. Now, I don't know if this is in the field that you personally desire to go into, but working in hospitality in any capacity except a waiter or a waitress. Well, waiter, waitress, host. Anywhere in the back of a hospitality establishment works well for an introvert. Okay. So does getting into some of the more esoteric sides. Okay. If you like writing or you like drawing, find yourself somebody that is extroverted to help move your stuff. But anything that you can focus on and work on your own to generate an income works well for an introvert. Okay. Even a full-time mechanic works really well. All you gotta do is talk to the guy about the problem at hand. What's wrong? Do you know what's wrong with your car? Great. Give me a few hours. Here's what it is. You have it laid out. Here's the price. And all you gotta do is go, there's the price. Take a look at it. You like it, I'll do the work. You don't like it, I won't. But you gotta remember, anything you're doing for a living, no matter what the living, make certain you enjoy it. The moment you find a job you enjoy, it's no longer work. Okay. Do I enjoy doing these streams? The answer is yeah, I actually do. Do I enjoy going out and dealing with a lot of people or being around a lot of people? Not a snowball's prayer. I'm going out. This is going to be a real challenge for me. This whole trip to Reno is way more of a challenge than I was expecting. Okay, because it's gotten worse over the years. Now I sit in my office. Most of my time I spend right here writing. Okay. And now that I've gotten through a few of the hiccups I had, tonight I've got some stuff I've got to add to this co-authoring work that I'm doing, as well as 4 other things, which would be the Return to Paradise, second printing of Races of the Worlds, the Believe in Your Job and Follow Your Dreams, and I've got another novel, and of course the March edition of Positive Perspectives. I'll be putting time in on it tonight. Now, yeah, this means I'll be working for a half an hour to an hour on each one. Well, if you think about that, that means I get done this stream and I'll be working for another 2.5 to 3 hours. Well, no, another 2.5 to 5 hours. There you go. And yeah, Philip's going, if I'm stressed by what I'm doing, I get distracted and have trouble focusing. Then I screw up. But I do well when I care about what I'm doing. Absolutely. And I don't know if this will make you feel better there, Philip, but that is absolutely normal. The caution there, if you don't like the job you're doing and you don't have a replacement, stay doing your job. Start looking for a replacement, but do not quit until you've got that replacement in hand. You know, this is, I mean, it sounds like common sense, but you'd be amazed how many people just don't utilize it. And again, guys, if you like the stream, you know, if you like Positive Perceptions, do me a favor and hit the like button. Okay. Then subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. It'll be really appreciated. Steve, this is going to be a number that's just going to blow your brain. Okay, in all likelihood. Take a look at the Big Bang Theory. Okay, the start of this universe. Okay, I presume you're familiar with that. Okay, and you know, if you're not, let me know. But basically, I'm not going to go into the explanation of really what the Big Bang Theory is. Good. Now, my oldest confirmed memory for me, okay, and I know there's more before it, but my oldest confirmed memory is 1 billion. I call the Big Bang Theory because of the way it was described, that I witnessed it and I came to understand it. The Big Bang Theory, okay, I call a flip every time it happens. I have memories that date back 1,000,000,000 flips. Okay, so we are talking about, well, let's face it, a little bit of time. The reality is your soul, my soul, everybody's soul is, is immortal. Yeah, Philip goes, my body made me quit before I planned to, because when I'm stressed, I literally get sick. Yeah. Oh, nice. No, not nice. Philip goes, I had to get on medication to prevent an ulcer after one big box job. Yeah, I got forced into retirement when the company I was working for closed the doors after 23 years. Now, the stupid part about it, okay, is I knew it was going to fold and didn't do anything about it. Now, Steve, here's the kicker. Okay, where is it? You've asked a question there, Steve. Will you ever write a book on your past lives? This book here, The Birth of the Wolf Pack, the original story, okay, that I wrote back when I was 15. Okay, the original story I wrote when I was 15. Now, it is actually contained, I think it's Appendix 1 in this. I'm just double checking. Yeah. In Appendix 1, the original story that I wrote is in here. Now, while I was writing The Birth of the Wolf Pack, the lass I was dating at the time took a look at it and she goes, Keith, this doesn't look like just a story. She goes, this looks like an autobiography. Okay. Many of literally almost all of the people that I've run into, that you run into in here, this gentleman here, Jeremiah Wollstrand, is the character, that's the primary character, the primary protagonist. Okay. Now, not by this name, and you'll find out right at the beginning of the book. You'll find out he is known by many names. Okay. But this girlfriend, this woman I was dating goes, this looks like an autobiography. And I went, okay. And I got thinking about it. It's like, it really does. But you got to remember, The Birth of the Wolf Pack is post-apocalypse, meaning after the rise and fall of man. Okay. But every one of the characters that I've got, okay, every one of the characters in there, both the primaries and the people that you run into, the supporting characters, virtually every one of them are either based on people I personally have run into, or characters that they've made, or people have run into and events and situations I've run into in my past lives. Okay. So, yeah, the neat part with the Yldrbacian Chronicles is it's a question, is it my imagination? Is it a history book? Where did it come from? Very much like with Races of the Worlds. Every one of the races that are listed in Races of the Worlds, I've personally dealt with face to face. So, yeah, I am absolutely, where are we here? Philip goes, there are famous mediators who've tapped into interesting past lives, but not one remembered getting a famous historical person. Being a famous historical person. The funny part about it is this. Some people were famous historical people. But here's the kicker. Not everybody was. And no, I am not getting into some of my past lives. Some of them I will quite readily tell you. Okay. Because in today's world, they're not going to cause a problem. Like, for instance, my past life in Northern Ireland. I was nobody. I was a fisherman. That was it. My biggest claim to fame was I fell in love with a young lass of a higher stature, of a higher social standing than me. Okay, in Africa, and I don't remember what year that was, but I spent a lifetime in Africa, where instead of just having my house, my patio built up on stilts, because we were living in a swamp, I was a little twisted. I hung mine from the rafters, which, by the way, had its own problem. And what have we got here? Yeah, the neat part about it is past lives, just like most of the people you know today, didn't do anything substantial this lifetime. Okay. I mean, the fact that I'm building something now. Actually, in all fairness, the problem with my father, okay, my mom died giving birth to my sister, and my father lost it. And time went on, and he raised me. He spent about a decade when we were on our own, where with his wife and my mom and dad. And at some point along the line, I came home and I said, Dad, I don't know what you're going to think of this. Well, literally, I come home and I went, Dad, I finally met a woman I really like. And he goes, okay. So is there any problem? Well, Dad, she happens to come from what people around here call high society. Okay, son. Now, I'm not going to tell you shouldn't go to them and go to this person. Go ahead. You have my blessing. Understand it is not likely to be easy because they may not accept you. Okay. So I spent the next several years dating this woman. Okay. Now, I met her when I was about 18, and we dated for, and she'd come down from the city. She'd come down to the countryside. Well, she'd come down from her country estate down to the hillock right above the fishing village. I'd meet her up there. And we spent a decade together. And then the potato famine in Ireland happened, and everybody started leaving, and they all started heading for Dublin. Well, she had ended up in being told she was going to marry this other guy of high standing. Like, she didn't want to. And she had told me flat out she wasn't going. Well, she told him she wasn't going, and he ended up murdering her in front of my eyes. Now, my dad had already given me his blessing to stay with her. Right. Net result, she died carrying our child with her. And I ended up 5 years later dying of a broken heart. I finally gave up, went out onto the hillock where we had spent so much time. I just laid down and shut my heart off. That was just the end of it. But I was a nobody. In today's world, I'm a nobody. But I'm telling you, I'm a nobody that has a dream of an international, globally reaching newsletter, magazine. Okay. And a stream that reaches thousands of people where we can sit here and go, here's what you can do to make your life better. I don't care where you came from, as far as wherever you came from, you can't do anything about it. Okay. Think about it. Marilyn Monroe was a waitress when she was discovered and become an international icon. There is nothing stopping you from doing the same thing. And LA is just going, I think a lot of it has to do with what the soul wishes to accomplish with a life. Fame can literally stop the progress. Absolutely it can. I asked a buddy of mine, my game master. I came to him one day and I said, look, why is it that every single character I build lately is building a flaming empire? And he never even blinks. He looks at me and goes, drive? Every time I turn around, I've got one character right now that I play on Thursdays in my solo game. He's a halfling but he's only 1 foot 10 inches tall. And he drives a semi. Okay, he drives a tractor trailer. Well, the neat part there, and this is the thing, Philip. Okay, I am doing my level best to open that door. I'm building a healing center. Then this is exactly why. Philip's gone, I wish there was a media network for misfits, because the mainstream media don't interest me, and I've talked to a lot of people who feel the same way. Well, here's the thing. With this stream, with positive perceptions, literally we try and keep everyone welcome. Okay, we don't do, yes, I touched on politics as an overall. And LA was absolutely right. We do not start looking at which party is doing what, or which church is doing what. We don't deal with religion in that capacity either. Okay, but misfits have insights, and quite often it's those people thinking way outside the box that really have some insights that can help. But you are absolutely right, Philip. People do not, the mainstream media don't pay attention to what the people with the fringe ideas were. My first introduction to a group of what you call misfits was back when BBSs were a big thing. I got involved with a group called with a BBS called it was called The Fringe. And again, it was a whole pile of misfits of it after that, as it were. Where are we here? Steve goes, do we mix with the same friends and relatives playing different roles from each lifetime? Sometimes, Steve. Many of the people I know now, okay, and I'm not going to tell you which ones, but there are people in this room. If they speak up and say they shared life with me, I will confirm, if it is right, I will confirm it. Okay, will I reveal anybody's name myself? Not a prayer. And people can ask all they want. Okay, there are certain lifetimes that I've had I will not discuss. Okay, not in any specific detail, because there's too many potential problems. A BBS before the internet came into play, back in the 80s, there was something called a BBS, called the bulletin board system. It literally was a system whereby everybody had their own computer. You would phone them up on a telephone line and connect to the other computer. Nathan, you and I are going to have a long discussion on that one. One of the best ways to look at it, to do it. Now, you do some meditation, as it were. Okay. One of the best ways is to literally relax and start writing down little details. You may think it's your imagination. It probably will feel like it. Okay. Write it down and then start talking to people about things. Okay. Iowax, how you doing? Didn't see you come in, or maybe you just came in. But write down what you think of as a past life. I remember doing this. Then go looking for some sort of quantifier for it. Okay. My past lives, you won't likely find a corroboration or confirmation of a specific lifetime, as in, I was John Denver when I was in my last life. Now, of course, John Denver, I think, is still alive. Okay, not many people are actually recorded in history as on the whole, but maybe you remember a particular house draws your attention, for whatever reason. Okay, write it down. Then, as you're talking to people, oh, there we go. LA goes, no, John Denver passed on some time ago. I do remember the one now, Nathan, and I'm not gonna say which one. If you want to, that's your call. But we had a discussion the other day about one of your past lives. Okay, that wasn't your imagination. And that's what I mean by talking about your past lives. Sometimes what you think are past lives, sometimes you'll talk to somebody that can corroborate it. And it's a really weird feeling. Iowalks is going, I think we should all share our dreams on one day from the night before. Well, on one day from the night before until we update. But that could be really complicated. Here we are. Kate's going, Raven81 is going, my hubby and I have joked many times that we know each other from a past life. We've been together since 17, and we are so comfortable. It'll be our 25th wedding anniversary next year. Kate, absolutely big, heartfelt pat on the back. That is remarkable. Okay, I hope you and your husband can pull off what my mom and dad did. They spent 60 years under one roof. Skip goes, people are starting to tell me about their sightings out of the blue. Sometimes it takes a year or 35 to be. Yeah. Philip is adding here. In a Buddhist meditation, everyone we meet was a good, loving mother in a past life. Even the worst enemy of our loving mother is in a past life, and vice versa. Now, here's the funny thing. In all of my past lives that I've ever remembered, and any past life that other people have looked into, nobody has found a female lifetime of mine. Okay. And, as any of you that know that remember any past lives, you know yourself, okay, that if somebody says this is a past life, it will feel different than if it's wrong. What have we got? Oh, there you go. Storm's going. John Denver died in a plane crash, glider, on the California coast. Called an ET believer to be believed. Oh, there we are. Yeah, Skip goes, called an ET believer to be believed by others. The sad part, ET made a lot of people cry. For me, I loved it. The funny part about the whole dang thing is when I take a look at a past life, if somebody says, I think, and I was talking to somebody the other day, and years ago when we first met, we had both gone, I know you from somewhere before. I just know I know you. We just found out the other day where we knew each other from. There are probably close to half a dozen people in this room that have come in and out of this room that I know from past lives. I'm not about to go into some of them. Okay, and like I said, don't ask who, because I'm not telling you. If anybody in here decides they're going to say something, that's their call. Okay, because if somebody says, I knew you from this lifetime, or I knew, when you were King Henry VIII, I knew you. I'll look at him and go, number one, I wasn't King Henry VIII, so that's bogus. Okay. Philip, future life? No, never. Future hasn't happened. Future isn't at least not as far as I can tell. I've got one glitch in that whole thing. But I have seen evolutionary patterns. I know what the future is going to look like. I planned the future, like my future. But my past lives are called past lives for a reason. There we are. I have a dream I have a dream. I had a dream, a lizard spaceship. Yeah, and I've met some people, Awacs, where they remember their last life so vividly, it supersedes working in this world, and it does throw them for a bit of a loop. Okay, but what we got to remember is a past life is a life that went on before. You can't do anything about it, but you can certainly learn from it. And yes, skills that you had in a past life can be acted upon. Iwax goes, how can you express such complexity in text? Well, where it comes to past lives, this one pretty much does it. But you'll notice that now this is future. However, there are 10, there's 22 here, 10 more in this series, all the same thickness. Roughly speaking, we'll be looking at $4,800 pages plus. I like the question there, Philip. Now, off topic. Skip's going off topic. How much should I expect to bring for food? And what's the beer prices? Now that one somebody else is going to have to tell you. Okay, because I have no idea. Number one, I don't drink beer. But I will tell you, even in the restaurants, I would be personally, because I don't know what the prices are, I would personally be coming with, where it comes to food. Okay, I personally would bring $50 a meal. Okay, now there's no way I can account for how much. Like, I'm bringing a minimum of $50 a meal. Okay, I'm going to be there for a week. Of course, I'm coming down with a credit card, so that'll solve that problem. Where it comes to beer, I think beer is probably, if it runs anything like in the States, you're probably looking at $10 a glass. Philip, where are we here? Yeah. Lizards were inside and I took control of their minds. But yeah, myself, Philip, Skip, that's what I'm basically looking at. The neat part about it, I mean, this is going to be, there's any number of things that can happen, but I'd say that would be a safe minimum. I don't know how much beer you drink. Lord knows if I was drinking as I did when I was a kid, that kind of a price tag, $100 a night, would only cover my alcohol. Okay, but that should do you. But again, don't forget when you go to set the money up, check it for American currency. Okay, because they're in the let's face it, Reno, Nevada happens to be in the United States. And what do we got here? LA goes, I believe we're back to SOR. Oh, there we are. Oh, I should be fine. I don't tell jokes. Besides that, I don't like beer. Yeah, I'm just not really heavy. My drink of choice is frankly rye neat. Yeah. That would be nice there, Kate. I've been asked for 3 years to go, and I haven't made it yet. This will be the first time. And then I'll see what happens from there. Yeah. LA goes, I'm partial to H2O. I like H2O. What I don't like is H2OCl. That's the thing I don't like, and that's what it tastes like up here, aka water laced with chlorine. I can't tolerate the level of water, the level of chlorine in the water. This is why I drink coffee like I do. But when the one thing that is certain to be an issue, and I'm sure with us going to a resort, there's got to be snack food available. Okay, I know from my standpoint, snack food is kind of a necessity. Yeah, LA goes, coffee's number 2. I'm actually going to be, I thought number 2 was something else a whole lot ruder, but what the heck. See, I drink usually 3 times a year. Okay, on July 27th, which is my father's former birthday, I usually drink and have a shot of Drambuie. Okay, and then Christmas and New Year's, I tend to have 2 or 3 drinks on. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to Reno to a party. I will be drinking. I am not a teetotaler. Although I did used to be an alcoholic. I have that down to a fine art. Skip, I seem to recall somebody saying so, but I will talk to my other half. She may well not, because she has been known to find some really weird things. Okay, but I will talk to her and see if she knows of a tea that tastes similar to coffee. Okay, I do know I'm in the process of trying to figure out a combination, because in my novels there's a drink we call borsons, boiled roots and seeds. Okay, and that is the modern day version of coffee. There we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I've heard of that. I do. Of course, I don't drink tea, but yeah, I've heard of postum. I believe postum is well, it's an on flavor from what I gather. Of course, I'm not a tea drinker, so pretty much anything is going to be an on flavor. But yeah, it's one. This is one of those trips. I know a gentleman that I met. He was in England, came over to the Experience Your Speak event. All 3 years I went, and he'd come over from England. That was his major holiday. He would simply go, I'm going to the States. Oh, there we go. Fennel tea with a splash of apple juice. Gee, I found vodka with a splash of apple juice was really good too, but I don't think that's quite the same way. Whoop. Gotta wait for that to pop up. Yeah, Skip goes, you don't drink tea or you don't drink coffee, tea, or beer. Actually, the reality of it is, that's one of those complicated things, and it gets to be really complicated in a hurry. But I definitely do not mesh with this world, and there's no way I can ever think the way other people do. Where are we here? Phil's just asking, can you get drinking water in those glass bottles at the grocery store? They taste healthy, and plus you don't have to swallow plastic or chlorine. You can, but here's the kicker. Okay, number one, there's 2 major flaws there. One, what they're charging for the water is stupid. 2, most of those, and I don't know which ones, most of them have been proven to be nothing but tap water. Okay. And 3, much more importantly, you leave water sit in a plastic bottle. Okay, because they don't put them in glass bottles. Okay, up here we get the water comes in plastic bottles. You can get milk in glass bottles, but not water. Okay, and of course the plastic bottles it takes the parts of the plastic into the bottle. Iwax, I've got a Walmart near me. Yes, I won't set foot in the building. Okay, about a year before the lockdown happened, Walmart here, they told everybody they removed all their front staff, and they told everybody we moved them all into the back. We just reassigned them to different parts. I talked to the staff, to the former staff, and when Walmart up here brought all the automated systems in, all the automated cashiers, they fired every one of the people that were up front, and they didn't do a thing to the prices. Okay, all they did was cost everybody their jobs and not bring any prices down, so there was no benefit for the customer. I won't deal with Walmart myself. Okay, now Walmart is a great chain. From what I gather, it handles an awful lot of things for people. And watch this, I'm going to get flack because I just said I won't deal with them. And I won't. And I'll tell you, if that ends up getting me flipped off of this, well, I can't do much about that at this point. But like I said, I don't dictate what people do. Yeah, I was thinking about asking someone, but here's the thing with chlorine. And what I do is I pour my water into a glass jar. I leave it open in the fridge. Leave water sitting in an open jar. Chlorine is a gas. It will rise out of the water of its own accord. And a couple hours later, it's good to go. So I get my fresh water, and I don't have to pay a plug nickel more for it than anything else. Well, that's true there, Philip. Nobody said you have to. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion of which store they want to go to. And there's some stores I look at their business practice and go, I'm not dealing with it. But that's me. What's that? You'll want to... Oh, that's... I gotta ask again, Kate. I'm just curious, I know I've got your email around here somewhere. Whereabouts are you over in the UK? But no, water itself is easy to cope with. Now there's one other neat little thing I figured out how to do. Okay, and this is where things get a little trippy. Take your hands, put them palms towards each other. Don't take my word for it. Give it a shot. Okay, put your hands a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch apart. You'll feel something between your hands. Concentrate on that energy and understand energy flows both directions at once. So while you're doing this, you're going to feel something in between your hands. As you get it stronger, separate your hands a little. Now you'll only require them being, depending on the ball you're working with, maybe a foot apart. And then you slowly slide your hands down on either side of the bottle and while you're still focusing on that pressure. Okay. Run one thought through your head. Heal. Okay. This way you can purify the water. You can knock out the impurities simply by energetic work. I know this works. I do it all the time. Okay. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, there we go. Kate's going, I'm over in Wales. Here's a kicker for you, Kate. My family heritage it's Welsh and English. Well, Welsh, Scottish, and English. But my heritage put my family in two places in Wales. One during the time of the War of the Roses, not the best time in our life, in our family history. We were on the throne. We held the throne of Wales. Okay. The other aspect of our life is my family was Druids. Okay. Way back when. So one day I will get to Wales. Okay, at least that's the intention. Haven't figured out how to do that yet. Primarily because it hasn't been high on the list. On the other hand, my other half does want to do some traveling, which is really neat. She desires to do traveling more than I do, which really that's setting the bar low. But the neat part with her is she wants to go and see all these things. She is 100% blind. And yet, I'm still going to do our best to get her to see a whole pile of different things. Within reason. Like I told her, with energy healing, it is possible we'll be able to bring her one eye back. The other one's a total write-off. Not going to get it. But like she said, she's comfortable being blind. It's not a requirement for her. And I really don't have a problem with her being blind. But where it comes to water, I absolutely agree that water is necessary. Okay, it's funny, the amount of coffee I drink. My nutritionist, when I had the stroke, told her how much coffee I drank and what the strength was. And she goes, oh, bonus. She goes, you're barely flavoring the water. Drink all the coffee at that strength you choose to. She goes, you're just hydrating yourself. But things are taking an interesting turn. Now, where are we here? We are there. Okay. This trip, it really is. Like, I'm in some of the places I intend on getting to. I am going to make my way back to Ireland. Specifically, I want to go to Dublin, Ireland. And in all fairness, I don't care about Dublin itself. Nothing against Dublin. But if you go to Dublin, Ireland, and go due northwest until you hit the shoreline, okay, that's where my fishing village was. That is a place I desire to get to. It's just a spot in the ground. I have no idea if there's a city, a town, a community there. Nothing at all. But in 1828, I lost my girlfriend there. Okay. Where are we here? I ended up losing my girlfriend in 1828. Okay. 1833, I died of a broken heart. But the girlfriend that I had in 1828 ran into me and she identified me first. Okay. A number of years ago, probably about 10 years back, we met. She identified the fact that we knew each other first. Then she introduced me to her now husband and her now 12-year-old son. And we hit off like a house on fire. So past lives are a very real thing. And I intend to go and visit some of the places I know I've been. Now, the neat part is I don't know whereabouts. I am coming down to Texas. What I don't know, because I've never looked it up, but at some point, there's a place in southern Louisiana that I lived. I don't know if the place is still there. Okay. But bear in mind, I lived in southern Louisiana in 1760. Okay, so do I desire to go down and go there and take a look at sometime? Certainly. Not in a real rush. Okay. It was an interesting lifetime. I happened to be a slave owner. Although I took slavery to a whole new level. Oh, where are we here? LA, Southern Louisiana. Is that what you're calling New Orleans? Just because I'm a little curious. Okay, perfect. Back in 1760, I actually had 3 plantations in that area. But I only ever bought 2 slaves. The rest of them, the people paid me to take, which was really kind of neat. But that was a really exciting period. I know how I laid everything out. I woke up and remembered it, and I started looking around, and I'm pretty certain where it was. I just have to look for where the address was. I'm pretty certain I can find it if I take the time to look. But where are we here? Where are we here? Oh heavens no. Well, in all fairness, not while I was there. Funny thing about the slave market at that time, I never went and bought slaves. I bought 2. But understand the reason I bought the 2 slaves was because a gentleman that I'd ended up coming in contact with, he had a daughter that he could not take care of. And the only way at that time that I could take her from him was to buy her. So I did, along with her caretaker. Those were the only 2 I ever bought. After that, I set up there's a long drawn out period of that. I remember exactly how I handled my slaves. And I did end up with some, but I found a unique way to deal with them, where even my slaves were treated indecently. I remember one day I come home from being out and about, and one of my workers was beating the living stuffing out of one of my slaves. So I had my slave cut down, sent him off to be treated, strung my worker up, and beat the living stuffing out of him with a whip myself. And like I told him, you do not abuse my property. Beat the living daylights out of him. I didn't fire him, but never again did any of my workers ever lay a hand on my slaves. Yeah. Skip goes, weird times, but yep, a face group kid from the 80s. Jokes were bad. We're evolving, I hope. Yeah, I don't doubt it. For me, I've never agreed with slavery. Okay. I don't agree with a lot of things. And this is a bit of a problem trying to work inside this world. Okay. What I did, and I broke a lot of laws. Well, I didn't break the laws, I just capitalized on them. For instance, the slaves that I had, number 1, I would not beat. Period. Number 2, at the time when a slave had reached the end of their indenturement, the plantation owners were permitted to give a one-time chunk of money, whatever the amount we decided. You could give a one-time chunk of money to a slave when they finished their indenturement, and then send them on their way. Okay. No doubt there, Philip. Now, the thing was, I didn't agree with slavery. So what I do, and we're just going to use the term $1. I paid I don't recall the actual number I paid. Okay, but my actual workers would get paid $1 a week, for instance. I would take a jar, and every week I had a slave worked, I would put $1 in their jar. I wouldn't give it to them. because I wasn't allowed to pay them. But, okay, if you think about it, I put $1 a week away. So if you're paying $1 a week, you're looking at $52 a year. Okay, at 20, what? Let's try that just because my math is working like a sieve here. Okay, now if I had a slave for an indentured 20 years, I'd be putting $1 a week away. Net result at the end of the 20 years. Now remember, I said we were permitted to give a one-time payment to any slave when they finished their indenturement. Well, at $1 a week, after 20 years, I was sitting on $1,000 that I would turn around. The slave would get to go. He'd be done his indenturement. I'd go, okay, you served your indenturement. You're now free. Here's your one-time bonus. I'd hand him a handful of $1,000. Okay, and go, there you go. And half the time, more often than not, the slave would look at me and go, well, do I have to leave? Because you got to remember, slaves did not very often get any sort of functional job afterwards. Okay, and they turn to, so they go, well, do I have to leave? I said, no, I just have to pay every week. Right, just like everybody else. And they go, oh, okay, well, do we have to move out of our home? I don't care where you live. You want to stay living with the slaves? I don't care. You just have to realize you're at this point an employee, which means you show up, do your job properly. Right. I don't care where you hang your hat. So, needless to say, I went from one plantation. Over time, I ended up with 3, with all the slaves wanting to come to work for me. And we found some rather creative ways of doing it. But I've usually found a different way of dealing with things in every one of my lifetimes. This lifetime, I was told by my dad, don't tell anybody what you do. Okay. And, I apparently failed that one rather miserably. Right. But then Dad was worried because, well, I'm a working psychic. And personally, I prefer the word sensitive. And the reason for that is because a sensitive simply picks up on energetic emanations that most people overlook. Let me see here. Skip. I am not entirely certain what the question is. Skip's asking, who came up with that costume? Who came up with which costume? Oh, I'm not sure what costume you're referring to. Oh, okay. Oh, nice. And Skip goes, saw a 60-minute episode about a former slave family who bought their master's old farm. They kept all the original furniture and energy. Yep. It is amazing. Like, there's a lot of controversy around the whole slave thing. I never did buy into the idea of, okay, I own slaves, therefore I'm entitled to beat the heck out of them. Technically, it was accurate. I really can't tell you that one. Somebody, Skip is going, regarding the costume, the broom jumping at slavery weddings. Don't need that. I have no idea. I mean, I ended up, the reality is the one slave I bought way down the road after she had done her indenturement, I ended up marrying her. You know, again, it really boiled down to an odd setup. Oh, I remember Roots all too well. You know, the funny thing with Roots was when we were writing, when I was in school, Roots came out. And my English teacher told me, she told the whole class, the writing assignment was write a story about anything. Well, Roots had just come out, and I've still got the story here. The Roots had come out, and I literally wrote a short story about Any and Thing. Now, Any and Thing got married and gave birth to Anything. And I went through several generations. Okay, I went through several generations of Any and Thing's ancestors or descendants. And, my teacher looked at me and she goes, "How do you come up with these things?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Write about anything." So I did. Net result, in today's world, I've got 8 books in print, 3 self-help, 2 novels, 2 children's, and 1 reference. And I've just about got another one in print that I didn't write. But like I said, I'm building a publishing company. And I've got the first book coming out. Okay, I didn't write it. Okay, as a matter of fact, come to think of it, I should have done it. Yeah, I forgot to add one thing I should have put in it. But I don't really care about the credit in this particular case. If I end up putting it on the market, then I will make a modification and add the page to it. But this particular book, I found in my travels, I found a manuscript written by my grandmother about her childhood. Turns out I'm the only one that had a copy of it. Oh, the only one I can remember right offhand there, Philip, is that Any and Thing married their daughter, Anything. Okay. And I do not recall what the rest of the family was. It's in my records over in my filing cabinet. I mean, and I might someday turn that into a short story. It is possible. I just don't know what to do with it yet. But it was different. But with that in mind, guys, we are hitting as a matter of fact, we hit the 2-hour mark here. And you can hear my throat starting to go. But I do want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow is Monday, so I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.